Under a clear blue sky touched by the gentle chill of an early winter morning, episode 11 opens a new chapter in Diep's life. A woman once confined by the scars of her past. After months of struggling between freedom and duty, she now stands on the land of James's farm, where the fragile rays of sunlight pierce through the tree canopy as if to soothe old wounds. Beside her, CEO James, the wealthy man with a warm heart, serves not only as her protector, but also as a companion, as together they sow seeds of hope for a new beginning. That early morning, as dewdrops clung to every blade of grass, Diep awoke in the modest yet cozy wooden house on the farm. The soft breeze slipped through the gaps in the door, carrying with it the breath of earth and sky, a reminder that she had finally escaped the suffocating days with her ex-husband's family. Stepping outside, her bare feet met the cold, hard ground, and her gaze fell upon the small garden she intended to transform into a place where dreams could take root. "Today, I'll start anew," she whispered, her voice soft yet brimming with unwavering determination. Beside her, Haki the little dog and faithful companion wagged his tail joyfully, his bright eyes sharing in that simple delight. Diep smiled and gently patted Haki's head. "Are you hungry? Wait a moment, I'll make you some congee." Turning back into the house, she kindled the fire and the vibrant red glow from the dry sticks burned like a beacon of hope in her heart. "I won't let you go hungry again," she promised Haki, her warm tone tinged with a hint of remorse as she recalled the hard days they had endured together. The pot of congee bubbled away on the stove, its fragrant aroma of rice mingling with the cool morning air, creating a sense of peace that she had not felt for so long. Not far from the farm, CEO James awoke in the luxurious confines of his office at the CI headquarters. Morning sunlight streamed through the curtains, illuminating his thoughtful face, while his eyes burned with unwavering belief. He held his phone and checked messages from his management team, yet his thoughts could not stray far from the image of Diep, the woman who had stirred his heart from the very first moment they met. "I wonder how she's doing," he murmured, his hand unconsciously clenching the phone, as if to hold on to something precious. In recent days, he had witnessed Diep's resilience, from how she withstood the ridicule from her ex-husband's family to how she quietly rebuilt her life. Yet deep inside he still feared that one day the shadows of her past might pull her away from him. Before long, the ringing of his phone interrupted his thoughts. It was Tung, a longtime friend and business partner, calling to arrange a meeting about purchasing a corn farm. "James, are you free? Meet me at the cafe in 30 minutes. Tung's steady yet enthusiastic voice rang through the speaker. James nodded, though unseen by anyone. "All right, I'll be there." He quickly left his office, carrying a mood mixed with worry and determination, as if every step he took was directed toward a grander purpose, not only in business, but also in shaping the future for both himself and Diep. Before stepping out the door, he glanced back at the otherwise empty room, a fleeting feeling of loneliness washing over him. "I have to do better so that she never has to worry again," he vowed, his eyes gleaming with resolute determination. At a small cafe nestled in the heart of town, soft golden light from the hanging lanterns created a warm atmosphere against the chilly weather. James walked in and quickly spotted Tung sitting in a corner, a steaming cup of coffee in front of him. "Hello, my friend," Tung greeted as he stood up to shake his hand, a friendly smile on his face. "Please, have a seat, I just got here," Tung added. James returned the smile as he pulled out a chair. "Thank you. I was tied up with some personal matters yesterday, so I couldn't stay long." He took a sip of his coffee, the slight bitterness on his tongue serving as a reminder of the hardships he and Diep had endured together. Tung nodded and slid a cup of coffee over to James. "It's all right. I've already checked out your corn farm. The quality is excellent. The corn cobs are heavy and robust. I've decided to buy it for $9,800. What do you say?" James took another sip, his eyes lighting up. "All right, I agree. I'll put down a deposit of $500 and the rest can be transferred later. But if you don't harvest within 7 days, the deposit will be forfeited, okay?" Tung laughed heartily and clapped his hands on the table. "Deal. I'll hire people to harvest it this week." He extended his hand, and the two men shook hands, their laughter echoing in the serene space of the cafe. A sign of a fresh beginning. The conversation between the two men flowed gently yet decisively. James spoke about Diep, about how she was gradually rebuilding her life on the farm. "She's incredibly strong, Tung. I just want to help her start over." Tung nodded with empathetic eyes. "I understand. She's lucky to have you by her side. But you should also take some time to rest. Don't shoulder too much on your own." James smiled softly, though in his heart the worry for Diep still lingered. He recalled the days when she was threatened by her ex-husband's family, when Pao harassed her, and his heart tightened. "She needs me, but I need her too," he silently vowed, his inner voice heavy with an unspoken promise. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Diep had finished preparing breakfast for Haki. She sat by the hearth, her gaze drifting towards the small garden ahead. The bamboo stakes she had chopped down the previous day lay scattered about, waiting for her skilled hands to transform them into a sturdy fence. "I'll start with the vegetable garden first," she told herself, "and then earn enough to raise some livestock. Winter has arrived. I need to work quickly." Rising from her seat, she grabbed a hoe and began digging new garden beds, each strike of the tool a reaffirmation of the independence she longed for. The hard, cracked earth split beneath her feet, like old scars she was determined to erase, piece by piece. A cold breeze swept by, carrying the scent of earth and sky mingled with the aroma of the wood stove's smoke. Diep paused to wipe the sweat from her brow, her eyes now filled with a renewed sense of hope. "I can't always depend on James," she whispered. "I have to stand on my own 2 feet, so no one can ever look down on me again." Yet, deep inside, she knew that James's presence had become indispensable, like the morning sun dispelling the lingering darkness of her past. She recalled his smile, his warm voice saying, "We'll get through this together," and her heart warmed amid the winter chill. At the same time, James left the cafe and drove toward the warehouse of C Company. He wanted to inspect the batch of sugar pomelos slated for export to Thailand, a project in which he had placed great hope. Arriving at the warehouse, his eyes lit up upon seeing the plump pomelos neatly arranged on the shelves. "Good morning, boss," a young employee greeted, bowing slightly. "Today, I'm here for a surprise inspection, right?" the employee asked. James nodded, smiling. "Yes, I just want to see how everything's going. It's all sugar pomelos now." A young employee nodded. "Yes, this batch is set for export to Thailand. Our company just signed a contract with a new contractor." James nodded in satisfaction as his gaze swept over each neatly stacked pile of pomelos. "Excellent. Keep up the hard work, and at the end of the year we'll give you a bonus." He walked deeper into the warehouse, meticulously inspecting every detail, yet his thoughts kept returning to Diep. "I wonder if she's all right," he mused, his heart growing heavy as he recalled the days when she was tormented by her ex-husband's family. He paused beside a pile of pomelos and placed his hand on one plump fruit, as if to convey the unspoken words of comfort he hadn't had a chance to share with her. Noticing James's pensive expression, a young employee spoke up. "Boss, please, stay a bit longer. I have something to report." James nodded and sat down on an old wooden chair in the corner of the warehouse. "All right, go ahead." The employee began to explain the situation with the agricultural procurement. This year the farmers had a good pomelo harvest, but they're struggling with cash flow. "I approved a loan of 5 billion VND, but when it arrived here, only 3 billion VND remained. I suspect the director held back 2 billion VND, promising to settle it with the farmers next year." James furrowed his brow and said in a measured tone, "Really? Thank you for letting me know. I'll handle this matter." Rising from his chair, his eyes sharpened with determination, though weariness was evident. 2 billion lost? We need to investigate this further, he thought to himself, his heart sinking at the thought of the farmers waiting for that money to celebrate the new year. When leaving the warehouse, James carried with him a new worry. He decided to stop by a nearby shop and purchased a 20-meter roll of fabric netting for 133,000 VND, intending to bring it back for Diep to use as a fence for her garden. "This will make her work a lot easier," he thought, with a gentle smile on his lips. On his way back to the farm, he drove along winding roads flanked by endless stretches of lush green fields. The cold wind breezed through the car's window, carrying the scent of earth and sky, evoking memories of the early days when he first met Diep, when she stood in a field with determined yet wounded eyes. "She's changed so much," he silently acknowledged, "and so have I." At the farm, Diep had just finished tending to a new garden bed when she heard the familiar sound of James's car approaching in the distance. She lifted her head, her eyes brightening as she saw him step out of the vehicle, holding a roll of fabric netting. "Diep, what are you working on?" James called out, his voice as warm as sunlight on a winter's day. Diep smiled and wiped her hands on her worn shirt. "I'm planting a vegetable garden." "You're here already?" James nodded and set the roll of netting down. "I bought this for you to fence your garden. It'll be much quicker than using bamboo." Diep looked at the roll, a trace of surprise in her eyes. "Thank you, but I already chopped down a few bamboo stakes. Can I use both?" James laughed heartily and patted her shoulder. Of course, working together will make it go faster. He rolled up his sleeves and began unspooling the netting. Although his movements were a bit clumsy, causing Diep to tease him. Careful, your hands aren't very steady, this net is sharp. James grinned and teased back. I've never really done gardening before, but for you, I'll learn. Diep blushed, her eyes showing a mix of shyness and delight that couldn't hide the genuine joy inside her. As she tied the netting to the bamboo stakes and James tugged it tight, the soft laughter mingled with the whispering wind created a simple yet warm symphony. In that moment, Diep felt a strange mix of comfort and safety, as if James were the light she had been seeking for so long. In that moment, James's phone rang. He frowned and answered. Hello, who's this? A contract? All right, I'm coming right away. Turning to Diep, with a tinge of regret in his voice, he said, Diep, I have to go sign a contract. You finish up here. Once I'm done, I'll come back and we'll go shopping for new clothes. Diep nodded and smiled. Go ahead, I've got this. Bye. She watched his car disappear down the narrow road, a hint of wistfulness stirring in her heart. He's always so busy, yet he still finds time for me, she thought, her eyes sparkling with renewed hope. James drove away, leaving Diep alone in the garden. She continued fastening the netting, her eyes alight with determination. I've finished the garden, she whispered to herself. Next will be the chicken coop and the livestock pens. The cold winter wind blew past, but inside Diep, a warm flame of self-reliance and hope burned brightly. Sitting beside Haki, she gently stroked his fur and murmured, Do you see, Haki? We're building a new life. No matter how hard it gets, we won't give up. Haki wagged his tail, as if agreeing with her, his small eyes reflecting simple joy. As the sunset descended, a radiant orange glow bathed the farm, creating a magical scene between earth and sky. Diep stood by the freshly completed garden, her gaze slowly sweeping over each bamboo stake and every meter of netting that she and James had set up together. This is my new beginning, she whispered, a beginning free from the darkness of the past. She recalled the days of confinement under her ex-husband's family, the jeers from Pau, and the silent tears she once swallowed. But now, all of that seemed far away, like passing breezes that left no trace. In the distance, James drove back to the company, his heart heavy, yet filled with hope. Diep is doing so well, he thought. I will always be by her side, no matter what challenges lie ahead. He remembered her smile, the determined look in her eyes as she secured the netting, and his heart warmed amid the chill of the late afternoon. He knew that this journey was not just about building a farm, it was about forging a future where Diep could shine freely, and where he could be her companion, not only in work, but also in the dreams they nurtured together. Episode 11 ends with the image of Diep and James sowing seeds of hope across a vast land. Beneath the gentle glow of the sunset, that modest farm is more than just a shelter. It's a symbol of freedom and a love that is slowly blossoming. The bamboo stakes, the rolls of netting and their shared laughter become the notes of a life symphony, a new life that they are building together, step by step, amid present challenges and the soft echoes of the past. Stay tuned for episode 12, where James will face new challenges in both his work and his heart. Will the love he holds for Diep be strong enough to overcome the barriers of class and the shadows of the past? And will Diep, with her fierce determination to stand on her own, open her heart to that love? Or will she continue to keep her distance to protect herself? These questions will be answered in the next episode, where the light of hope and the darkness of challenge will intertwine, creating a story filled with inspiration and emotion.